when you're vacationing, it shouldn't cost too much to roam.
Right?
You want to roam and you don't want to be charged for it.
Yeah, you could also Venice.
No, like roam as in roam around.
Oh,
yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So with Saily, your roaming charges for your cell phone are covered. All you have to do is download the Saily app, and you could download an eSIM for just about every place in the world, 160 countries and 8 regions, and it keeps your mobile data from going haywire, because there's nothing worse than coming back from vacation, especially an extended one. You know, a lot of people in January like to go for like 7-10 days just to get the hell out.
Hey, did you enjoy yourself? Welcome to phone bill hell.
Exactly. You don't want to spend, the rest of the year trying to pay it off.
No.
So this is how you do it. Saily has you covered, and like I said, Saily eSIM plans are compatible with iOS and Android, multiple plans. All you need to do is go to Saily, SAILY.com/dangle. We're going to give you 15% off a Saily data plan. It's an exclusive to SDP listeners. Again, go to Saily.com/dangle. Use the code DANGLE at checkout. Download the Saily app, and you're set.
It's that simple.
Let's go Roman, baby, and venison.
SDP the Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Chris Johnson Show, live in Coburg, baby. Yeah, that's right. Chris Johnson Show, January 17th at 1111 Elgin Street West, one of Chris Johnson's old haunts.
Yes, it is.
You know?
I
actually don't know where Chris hung out in Coburg, but I do know that he grew up there, and that's why we're doing that show at Boston Pizza Coburg. And the great thing is the doors started open at 5, live podcast at 6, and then the meet and greet at 7. Limited capacity here. It's not. Listen,
no,
we're making this
on the roof.
Private, intimate show. Yeah. So you got to get your tickets. And by the way, if you want to get your tickets, they're in the description of this episode and also the Chris Johnson Show episodes. And it's their 300th anniversary show. And can you believe that? Our guys are at 300. Oh, look at that. Oh, Jesse, are you buying tickets?
I have the page open for anybody listening, and I was trying to buy the max amount of tickets, but you can only buy 10 at a time.
Wow.
So if you want 10 tickets, you can get them. If you want more than 10, you got to do groups of 10 tickets. So
the resale market's about to go crazy.
It's about to be hot. It's about to be like Taylor Swift at the Rogers Center.
Absolutely. And
it's CJ and Coburg.
Obviously,
same thing.
Julian will be in town for this as well, because obviously it's a live recording. And for those who are wondering, yes, you probably will get to meet producer Nick. We believe he's going to be on site for it.
But he has not said.
I don't think it's confirmed yet.
I plan on going.
Yeah, we're all going to be there.
Yeah,
we're just going to be in.
No,
the
that you should mention that. Like that's not something.
We'll be there
because it's not our show, right?
No, we're not going to be like screw this.
no, but it's the Chris Johnson Show live. You should mention that we will be there. Show up and we're going to hang out.
Well, Adam,
I'm not working. I'm not working. I'm not talking.
It's east of I don't know. Let's go with Morningside. So I didn't think you were coming.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah,
I go east of Morningside all the time. It's you who will not come west of Yonge.
No, it's not true.
It is true.
It's not true.
Only to sign your books. You'll do it
only to
books.
sign. Yes, it's true.
And this is going to be a lot of fun. So there's plenty of stuff going on at BP Coburg that night. We'll get into that as we keep promoting this throughout. But we do want you to know that Boston Pizza Coburg is the place to be January 17th. Chris Johnson and Julian McKenzie, their 300th episode anniversary celebration. We're already at 300.
300.
That's a lot.
It's so many.
Yeah.
It's so many shows.
Does that mean they're in season 4 or season 5 of this show? It's got to be season 4.
Yeah, pretty soon they're going to release the movie, and then it's just going to be downhill.
You think so?
Yeah, every show is shitty after the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Name a show that got better after the movie. Simpsons. Simpsons got better after the movie.
Didn't.
Power Rangers got better after the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Didn't.
Yeah, see? Rugrats got better after the movie.
Didn't.
Exactly. Hey Arnold got better after the movie.
I didn't even know there was one.
Exactly. I'm on to something. Don't give me that look.
So they can't put out
South Park. It's the one. The only one. Singular.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Jesse, do you feel enlightened now? Do you feel better about your life now?
The Hey Arnold movie was good.
Which one?
The Hey Arnold movie? It was good.
It was good.
No, it's not about the movie being bad. It's did the show continue to be good after the movie.
Right. I don't remember. I think the Hey Arnold movie might have ended the series.
I think it might have.
I think it was like the finale. I like when they do that. You get the last
cool.
episode of the whole series is a mini movie.
Did he end up with that girl that?
Yes.
Yeah. They ended up together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
The
That's
storybook
a good
ending.
story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah. There's also Hey Arnold has some like deep lore because it's a lot of like classism that you can dive deep into in like that respect. So Hey Arnold was a fantastic show.
So damn good. One of the most underrated shows of our time.
I love that show. Okay, so listen, there's lots to talk about that happened over the break, but I think we'll start with an easy one, which is the Leafs last night and the Leafs on Saturday.
Hooray!
And obviously today we're going to talk about what's going on in Vancouver. We're going to talk about what's going on in Montreal, which is kind of interesting. And Hockey Canada is obviously one of the big stories. But I wanted to get warmed up, and we'll start with the Leafs. Let's start with a good story. 4 out of a possible 4 points this weekend on a back-to-back, which is something that Leaf fans have not been used to saying over the course of the past few years. And what's interesting, I think it kind of made me laugh. I think their name is Leafs Truth on Twitter.
I don't know.
Posted something about it, just popped up in my timeline, and it was like 20 of the Leafs' 41 games this year have been either the first or the last or back half of a back-to-back, because they've had 10.
20 out of 41.
They've had 10 back-to-backs this year
It's
so far.
psycho. They're where they are in the standings.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I was like, I didn't get too in depth with it in the LFR video, but how many guys are having seasons this year that you could argue are better than last?
Oh,
I think it's less than half the team.
yeah.
I really do. But some of the performances they're getting are so cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and they're finding ways to come up with wins. I'm fascinated by how they do the second half of the season because the schedule levels off. November was so easy, so ridiculous.
December was ridiculous.
December was so preposterously hard in the first week of January, and now it's going to level off.
And they are a game, and they've played an extra game, but they're 4 points up on the Florida Panthers right now.
Let's friggin' go.
I mean, this is a team that hasn't won a real division since the late 90s. I'm talking about, Canadian division.
Made up. Listen,
up.
They were all made up that year, but it matters for the Leafs. If they had won the Atlantic at any point over the last 10 years,
It would matter more.
maybe you count the Canadian division because you're like, they've done it before. But because that's the only one, it's like, no, it doesn't count.
That's right. They are up. They are 12 points up on the 4th place Lightning already.
Ooh,
They are
12?
12 points. The Lightning have played 4 less games, but it's still worth mentioning. Yeah, the Lightning have played 37. The Leafs have played 41 because of the December schedule was bonkers.
Well, if the Lightning win out, the Leafs are still up 4.
The Leafs are 9 points up on the Boston Bruins, who, by the way, have played a game more than the Leafs have.
Hey, let's go.
And, of course, the Florida Panthers, I mentioned 50 points in 40 games for them. They've played one less game, but the Leafs, points percentage-wise, are top in the division. And we'll talk about the Senators and the Canadiens a little bit later, but I think they're going to need their shout-outs to be sure.
Of course.
But I'm looking at this, and I'm going, this is the best possible outcome you could have for this group, considering what they were staring down December 1st.
100%. And with Matthews out for the majority of it, too. I mean, how do you... It's it's funny. Remember when the Canucks were just running away with the NHL in like 2011 and all that?
Oh, yeah.
And there was the Mason Raymond paradox. And the Mason Raymond paradox was all Canucks fans were complaining about Mason Raymond because he was the perceived weakest link on an otherwise juggernaut of a hockey team. Mm-hmm. And for me, it feels like Morgan Riley has become that for the Leafs because I get asked about him after every game now. During every game, I'll get messages like, what is up with this guy? He stinks and blah, 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 blah. Gets the OT winner last night. Granted, still didn't have the greatest game, but I'm like, do you not see where they are right now? How am I the one going, hey, I think you need to be more optimistic about the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's not usually my bag, baby. Mm-hmm. But they've won 4 straight. I think we need to start feeling really good about this.
Jesse, what's your sense of the Morgan Riley discourse from inside the organization, where I'm sure there is none? But like there has been a huge online discourse, and it really, I found, picked up mid-December and has sort of exploded over the Christmas break here.
I'm not even saying they're wrong.
Well, yeah, and we could talk about the merits of it, but the reality is that $7.5 million defenseman, you expect him to score more than a goal. Do you have any sense of how the Leafs feel about it?
I think Morgan Riley knows he didn't have a good first half because he said it. You know, he talked to Jonas Siegel at practice about how he was disappointed in his first half and how the second half he needs to improve, and there are little parts of his game that he needs to get better. And there's a stretch here coming up where the Leafs have a bunch of time off because of the Four Nations, and every team does. And it's a long season. We forget that. And him having a couple, like 2 months-ish of hockey that we're like not too impressed with is okay, because the Leafs have been continuing to win, like we've pointed out, and there's a whole stretch here where he can get right. And last night hopefully is the start of something, you know, getting that OT winner, and I'm not concerned about Morgan Riley.
I have a couple things on this point, guys. The first one is, what season did Morgan Riley play his best hockey? And I'm talking about playoffs or regular season. When have you seen Morgan Riley play his best?
Well, there was the season he had 20 goals and 72 points. That was absurd. But, I mean, the 23 playoffs against the Lightning and Panthers.
Which came on the heels of an injury-plagued, not-so-good regular season.
Uh-huh.
And, you know,
with a steady defender.
We talk about in Toronto. Luke Shen. We talk about in Toronto the wanting, we want these players to be better than they are in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Morgan Riley's a guy that
sets the bar low.
Yeah. No, I think there's he's a beast in the playoffs. So I'm less concerned about it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I think unless you've had, I hate to put it this way, but a lot of people are going to roll their eyes about what I'm going to say. And
I know exactly what you're going to say.
They have a child that is less than a year old at home. And for me, having gone through that, and listen, I didn't give birth. I didn't have to breastfeed. I didn't have to do any of that stuff.
No.
But if I were a high-level athlete and I was not sleeping very well, I think it would affect my game. And I'm not saying that's what's happening, but you cannot underestimate two things. One, the habits of a professional athlete, they're anal about them. Mm-hmm. Two, the way a baby goes, yeah, fuck all that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you have a routine? That's nice. You had a life before me? That's nice. You don't anymore.
Hey, you love me?
Yeah.
So, literally on your face.
So is it possible, and we talked about this like 10 years ago with Evgeny Malkin struggling, and they were like, Penguins people were like, wow, we might need to trade him. He's like, he did just have
Samsonov last year.
Oh, his wife just had a kid? Yeah. I wonder if that plays into this at all. And it's like when Tavares was bad at the beginning of the season. People forgotten that now. Mm-hmm. He had a bad 2 weeks. Well, he lost 8 pounds because he had the flu. Like, life happens.
So, I haven't put it as articulately as I'd like to in the LFR. I wanted to be like, what percentage of the people watching this video or this podcast today, right now, have had some sort of horrible illness over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, a lot of people have.
I think it's high. Sorry. Some of you are like, I don't know, maybe you're in Arizona right now. I don't know. I feel fine. Sorry. Southwest Ontario.
Or winter climate.
Is a cesspit right now. Cesspit. Everyone's got something horrible. Mm-hmm. And the guy I brought up yesterday for LFR was Willie. Who was just mysteriously playing the worst hockey of the season. And for me, I'm like, he plays through some sort of haggard illness once a season.
I think with Willie, too, there's just a regression to the mean.
That's possible.
Adam's favorite term there, bring it back to 2025. He's still shooting his highest shooting percentage of his entire career.
Still?
And he's on a 7-game goalless stretch.
Wow.
There was an inevitability here where he was just going to not score every game because it's impossible.
You know what I like about Willie, though? He's a hot starter. And there are a lot of guys that are not.
Cold starters.
Like Jerome McGinley was famous for cold starts and then would warm up mid-season and get crazy. Willie is a guy that's like hot start, a little bit of like a thing, and then at the end of the season, he brings it back up.
Mitch Marner not scoring feels like a distant memory.
No kidding. Yeah.
He's unbelievable. 5-point game. And it was, I think, his 5th 5-point game, which is
Unreal.
just absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he out of the guys who who's having a better season than last. I mean, he's probably number 1 out of guys having a much better season.
I've never had more fun watching Mitch Marner play hockey.
Oh, 100%.
This is the best he's ever been.
Easily. And we said
but
that
this last month has been the best. Well, actually, November as well, when Matthews went out. I thought we saw the best of what Mitch Marner and William Nylander could be. And when Matthews came back, it was pretty clear that he wasn't fully, in retrospect, fully healthy. Because if you see his comeback in December and you see his comeback in January, his comeback in January is fully Austin Matthews. His comeback in December was not.
I was worried, and it's all gone. Evaporated over 48 hours. He's looked fantastic. Completely fantastic.
Yep. So
No.
Just with Willie too, he's still second in the league lead in goals. It's Draisaitl and then Willie tied with a bunch of guys.
that's so crazy.
Like, yeah, and I assume a lot of the guys over the holidays had a little bit of sickness, but
I think, I don't know, it's lazy. It's literally lazy and based on nothing. But whenever a player gets bad out of nowhere, I'm like, okay, well, something must be.
And you're
going
not going
on
to be
there.
good all 82.
That's true too.
Yep.
It's true too. But like the standard for Willie set a high bar for himself, right? Like
yeah.
he's an unreal player.
They've been asking a lot of him too over when Matthews was out. He's double shifting on power plays, which isn't easy a lot. His centers have never been the best. He's out there playing with whoever. So, and he's been driving his line whenever he's out there, and he loves leaving the zone early. And a couple times he'll get caught doing that. I know they've pointed it out on television a couple times. Kyprios has been hard on him for that stuff, but that's also what makes Willie good.
Didn't yesterday he try to blow the zone? He tried to do like a little pickoff play around the guy at the point, and then he dropped his stick.
Yeah, not great stuff sometimes, but that's what you get.
Yeah,
You get the guy who's number 2 in goal scoring in the league.
Yeah, and they win, and that's why I'm able to just laugh it off. It's funny because they won.
You laugh like JT.
Yeah. Hey, Willie, you're supposed to have that in your hands.
hey, so
what's that doing down there?
the one, it wouldn't be Leafs Nation if we weren't worried. The one piece of anxiety is last night, Jake McCabe and Garnet Hathaway going head to head. Jake and Nick Kyprios said it perfectly at intermission. If you're gonna have him on the ground and drive his head into the ice, don't let him get up. There's 6 seconds to go in the period. Don't let him get up. Don't get into a fight. He does, and I think that what happened is the head injury that is suspected happened not when he hit the ice, but it was Garnet Hathaway's knee that hit him. I wasn't sure.
Is that the case?
Is that the case? Yeah, because
His head hit the ice pretty hard.
I think it was his head hitting the ice. He did get kicked on the way down.
Yeah, and I don't think that was on purpose. There
I
were
don't think it
people
was on
asking-
purpose, although
It is Garnet Hathaway.
Like I said it in the LFR. Now that we have a little bit more breathing room and there's 2 people around me, I want to see a reaction. Garnet Hathaway is a greaseball with no integrity, and I hate him as a hockey player. Hate him.
He should have been a perfect Bruin. I can't believe that didn't work out.
I'm so fucking thrilled it didn't work out. A first, a second, and a third, and Craig Smith for a dude who got 1 assist in 7 games. Looks good on you. Spitting Eric Goodbranson's face. Do I talk like this about many players around the NHL? No, I don't respect this hockey player. Who spits on a guy?
That's messy. Yeah.
It's
gross.
What's wrong with
Yeah.
you?
So obviously yesterday, Jesse, after the game, I saw the quotes from you about Berube saying he was worried about things. We haven't got an update as of this recording. Did you get a sense of how things were? Was it serious sounding?
Yeah, because McCabe missed 5 games earlier this season with a head injury, so obviously him hitting his head again is not fun. He's become like really important to this team.
Oh my God.
You don't want McCabe missing any significant time, and they never give anything after the game. It's always upper body, or he'll update you tomorrow. So we never really get anything out of the Leafs. So we'll find out tomorrow at practice. But you just hope it's not too long term for McCabe. It looks like he'll definitely not play in the next couple of games because I assume it's a concussion. We don't know, but and
why bother? It's January.
You got to take a week off there or something.
3 games minimum, I think, is a good bet.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't expect to see him this week, and they play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
But that's what you got Connor Timmins for.
Yeah.
in the lineup.
Yeah, well, so I want to talk a little bit about this. I know we got the big story coming up here, but I want to talk a little bit about the Philippe Myers extension, because this is a guy that's come in and he didn't play like the first 25 games.
No, he's looking better and better. Though.
And he's it's so funny when you don't play, you look bad. I wish somebody had told Mike Babcock that.
I know.
You got to be ready every night. Mike, he hasn't played in 4 months. How do you expect him to be good? But Philippe Myers has been interesting because he played significant time with Philadelphia back in the day.
He did.
Steve, you did a full video on it. It was really good, man.
I sure did. No, dude, because people forgot. Like, he started real hot, earned a contract that was probably a little too big when he was a little too young, and then the world stopped and the cap stayed flat. He was probably an NHL player the whole time. He was just making too much.
Right. Went to the Lightning.
Yep.
Now is with the Leafs. Treliving had some experience with him in Calgary. He had him try out, wanted to sign him, and then he ended up going to Philadelphia because he wasn't able. Yeah.
I didn't even
They said
know
it during
that.
the broadcast last night. I had no idea either.
Oh, there you go.
Thought it was cool. It was a cool little tidbit. But what's interesting about this player is that the numbers he's putting up with Morgan Riley are largely positive. Like, we're talking about advanced stats, largely positive.
Yeah, good things are happening when he's out there on the ice.
And they signed him to this extension, and it's money that is variable and whatever.
Yep.
It's no big deal.
Yep.
But this person feels like what they were hoping maybe Yanni Hakanpää would be.
Kinda. A little
Doesn't
bit.
kill penalties the same way.
No,
but he's big.
I think he's a way better puck mover, and I mean, he'll never be the shot blocker or hitter that Hakanpää was. Like, Hakanpää,
I'm almost convinced Hakanpää, we're not going to see him again.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, hey, should Matthews play at the Four Nations? Well, Hakanpää should definitely not play.
No.
And he was
play.
named to the
You
team.
think he's going to play?
The most hilarious thing is that he plays, and I think it's going to happen.
It would be hilarious.
Can you imagine? He might end up playing an equal amount of games for the Leafs and Finland. Like by the beginning of March.
Can I throw this out there?
What's the Leaf game log?
I think 4.
Is it only 4?
It might
And
only
if
be
Finland
4.
makes it to the gold medal game, that's 4.
I thought it was 2, Jesse. So my guess is 2.
He's played 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games.
Yeah.
So he might legitimately play more games at the Four Nations
Yeah.
than with the Leafs.
And you know it's going to happen.
Oh my
Like,
god.
it's 100% going to happen.
I
He's gonna
kinda
be
want
ready
it to
day
happen.
before the Four Nations.
That's
he's gonna play.
very funny. I
And then he's
want it
going
to
to sit out next game for the Leafs.
Now, but think about it. Like some people are going to be like, I don't understand. I've never really paid attention to this player. The fact he's on Team Finland despite not playing games.
Well, let me throw this at you. The only Finnish NHL defenseman not selected for Team Finland. Can you name them?
Oh, Vakanainen on the Rangers.
Henri Jokiharju
Oh,
on the Sabres.
really?
Yeah.
So he's next man up. Then,
That's
right?
what I would think. So listen, if I'm Brad Treliving and Hakanpää's like, yeah, I'm going to play Four Nations, I'd be like, no, you're not. And I think Jokiharju will go up.
There's only 7 or 8 Finnish.
Yeah, there's not a lot. Yeah.
Really?
Like regular. Yeah.
That's crazy. I
Crazy.
didn't know that. Wow.
So-
I think he plays.
So anyway, sorry. All that to say, Hakanpää is very underratedly elite at like a couple aspects of the game, but Philippe Myers has been he's been at least adequate to good at the things that Hakanpää does really well, and I think he's a better puck mover. I don't think that. He is a way better puck mover.
Absolutely.
Hakanpää, yeah.
Well, and so and obviously Connor Timmins' emergence this year has been really, really great as well. So Jake McCabe being out is not the death sentence it used to be. If Jake Muzzin, who is, I think, a different version of Jake McCabe,
That was it.
when Jake Muzzin was out, like Columbus, series was over.
Stop playing games, yeah. There's no point.
And I don't get the sense from that team. And that also comes back to the fact that OEL has worked out, I think, a lot better than expected, especially on the defensive side. I think they want more offense from him, and they want that from, I mean, he got a goal last night, but they want more offense from literally everybody on defense. But, you got Chris Tanev, who has blocked over 100 shots now and spat out a molar this weekend.
Apparently it was a piece of gum.
Oh, it's a piece of gum.
Yeah.
That looked like a molar.
I thought it was like,
gum.
I was like, damn, that came out from the root.
Oh, well,
no, it's just
I had
a-
heard he has one molar left. That's why, or something like
I
that.
believe that. No, it's just a bloody piece of gum.
So he must just only drink power shakes now. Like, what are you going to eat?
I
Like, how would
no
how would Chris Tanev eat corn on the cob?
Chris, we were thinking of going to the steakhouse tonight. All right, well, I'll see you boys tomorrow.
Or bring the blender, blend up the steak.
He's the guy who gets chirped because he always has the salmon at the keg, which is underrated.
There is a depth to this Leafs defense, and I'm not talking about the expensive guys. I'm talking about the actual depth guys. You know, some of these guys are what we were promised with Martin Marincin.
Interesting.
You know, we were promised that this was a big defenseman who you shall not pass and physical and whatever. He turned out to be pretty soft. Some of these guys are, a Justin Hall light, as in they can move the puck, they can kill penalties, and they don't make $3 million or whatever he made.
That is a big key. Like, Timmins playing games for this team, I'm perfectly fine with. If they have to call up, I guess next man up would probably be Marshall Rafai. Mm-hmm. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mermis?
So Dakota Mermis is actually an interesting player in all this.
Because he's a Leaf again, by the way, if you missed that.
He is a Leaf
They
again.
took him off waivers from Utah, and you didn't do a video about it.
I know.
And I'm really
piece of crap.
disappointed. I think you should do one today.
It's no. So Dakota Mermis I talked about him at the beginning of the season, and people were like, "Yeah, okay, who cares?" He played more than half the season last year with Minnesota. He broke his jaw, I think, or fractured his jaw during training camp. He rehabbed with the Leafs this whole time. After the Leafs spend all this time and resources on making sure he's better so he can play games for them, they have to waive him to bring him down to the AHL. Utah claims him, and they go, thanks, yoink. He plays one game with them, takes a penalty, and is a -2 because he probably wasn't ready because he needed to spend time in the AHL, which is what the Leafs were trying to friggin' do. But because Utah put him back on waivers, apparently if you reclaim a player, after putting them on waivers, they get claimed, you claim them back, you can put them into the AHL without having to waive them again. So this is a player who
Which is probably smart policy. Yeah.
But this is probably a player they envisioned as the extra guy.
Right.
This year, as like this year's version of Simone Benoit. Like a guy who was probably playing more than he should have on a team that wasn't very good, because Minnesota wasn't very good last year. You have to adjust your expectations a little bit there. He's an interesting player in all this. He could be next man up. I just don't think he's ready.
Right.
He needs to play games, which was
kind of the problem.
Thanks Utah for putting back putting another player who just wanted to be a Leaf and making their career more difficult. Good job.
Did he play
yet
with the coach?
again?
Did he play in there? Did he play?
Yeah,
He played one game for Utah and was bad. And now he's back.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, you mentioned the penalty in the -2.
Yeah, the penalty and the minus. Thank you, Jesse, for listening.
I was listening.
Sorry, I was queuing up the next.
No. Like Harry Sateri, I want to be a Leaf, and Bill Armstrong goes, "Cool. How about you play for my
Shitty, terrible,
sad sack, shit sack, bullshit hockey team that ended up moving into a building that wasn't a broom closet?" And then
Hard to imagine that Harry Sateri signing off of waivers was a full half decade before they finally said, "Okay, we've had enough."
it's unbelievable, unbelievable, inexcusable.
Yeah.
And then Dakota Mermis is like, "I want to play in the NHL," and they're like, "How about you play for us right away, one game when you're not ready?" Mm-hmm. And Dakota goes, "All right, I suppose so." And now he's back. So thanks for that, Bill.
Well, the Leafs take on Philadelphia again tomorrow night, so we'll see how this all sort of works out for them. But I'm streaming Thursday. I should mention that. It's my first stream of 2025, so I'm looking forward to that. That's right. Yep. I wanted to pick a big game. I went through the schedule and tried to pick really good games throughout, because nothing against Philadelphia, but I think even Flyers fans would admit that they're not top of the schedule unless you're Pittsburgh.
I think Tuesday might be underratedly chippy.
I think so.
Second half of a home and home, and it was a pretty vicious first game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did your boy Garnet Hathaway get into a fight?
On Tuesday?
Yeah.
Domi's gonna try to do something.
Oh, Domi can't help himself.
He can't.
That's the bad thing.
If Domi
bad.
isn't suspended, I don't think he's going to be suspended.
No,
he got a penalty on the play.
He'll get fined $2,500.
He might. That was pretty dumb.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, so Domi probably does something Tuesday.
An unnecessary elbow. It's generational. Apparently, it was the first thing I thought of. First thing I thought of was Scott Niedermayer when he did that. I was like, oh, I almost called him Ty. Oh, Max.
So shall we do the BetMGM big story? Our first of 2025.
Ooh, let's hit it.
The best records in the NHL over the last 2 weeks. Vegas Golden Knights 8-2. Edmonton, Colorado 7-2-1.
Wow.
Toronto Maple Leafs 7-3-0. Montreal Canadiens 7-3-0. All of the teams except one are teams we expected to challenge for the division win this season. Which brings us to the Montreal Canadiens, who are now barely out of the playoffs. This is what's so great about midseason is you just don't know. The Montreal Canadiens are 2 points away from, with 2 games in hand, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are currently the second wild card spot holder. By the way, for the Leafs, this is why it's important you win the division. And it's important maybe you win the conference so you could play a team like that. But the Montreal Canadiens are 7-3-0. Dobesh has come in, their new goalie, and posted a 9.82 save percentage in his first 2 games. Laine, who missed their last game because of flu symptoms, has 8 goals in 13 games.
Last 2 games.
What's that player again?
Laine?
Patrick Laine?
Yeah. Yeah. Do we believe, or, gentlemen, do even bad teams go on short runs throughout the regular season? And that's kind of fun.
Listen, we recorded our last show well before Christmas, at least a few days before Christmas. And we uploaded episodes and clips over the whole holiday. And what was our biggest one? The one that got the most reaction?
Was it not the one where we were predicting who would win the... I don't know.
It was the one where you guys were making fun of the fact that I said, well, looky at the Montreal Canadiens with Patrick Laine. They're a much better team.
No, the true answer to that is you talking about Mitch Marner.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
That anytime that's uploaded, that's the one with the most.
Yeah, people go, all right, I'm ready to watch this. Well, the second biggest.
There you go.
Was me talking about Patrick Laine and you guys going, ooh, they got Laine. Adam rubbing his nipples.
That's my favorite, though.
For some reason. So put me down for them making the playoffs.
Ooh,
Look at them going.
Jesse,
look at the new goalie in the mix. A player who was supposed to be a big part of the team the whole time.
Yep.
And the Sens, I'm selling my stock. I'm selling my stock, not because they're bad.
They're 6-4-0, man.
Ullmark is week to week, and they just lost Jacob Bernard Docker after losing Hamonic. Their right side is suffering.
Yeah.
I'm selling my stock.
Jesse.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun to see Montreal go on a little bit of a run here because they're going to sell at the trade deadline. And if they're good and also selling, like that's really dangerous for the rest of the league and in terms of Montreal's future. So it'd be cool if we got, we had Halak spring. It'd be fun if we got Montembeault, Dobish spring. That'd be fun. So I don't know. I'm rooting for them. It's been a long rebuild after they go to the Stanley Cup final in the bubble. And, it's been all of 5 years. So I'm glad that they're back. I'm glad that we get good Montreal. I'm rooting for them to make the playoffs.
They went from cup final to unwatchable.
Yeah.
To this.
Imagine the Leafs win the conference and have to play the Montreal Canadiens for the second wild card spot.
Followed by a second round series against the Bruins or Panthers.
Okay.
Oh, you're assuming they're going to win?
If they, that's right. You're right. If they win.
Man, the one thing I'll say about the Canadiens this time is there's no Carey Price, although that scares me, and there's no Phil Deneau. Phil Deneau, once Tavares went out, was a menace in that series.
What is the Leafs' redemption there? Is it to win the series in 7? Is it to go down 3-1 and then overcome that? Or is it to simply get a 3-1 lead and then win in 5?
4-0 sweep.
That'd be nice.
4-0 sweep.
I will take that.
That's what the Leafs need to do.
You say they don't have Deneau, but they got Jake Evans right now, who's on an absolute heater. Same with him and Armia on that fourth line. So they have guys who are going to be dangerous.
Yeah, but defensive dangerous, like shut down Matthews, that would be the thing that I would. That's what Deneau did. right? He was a
Carrier's changed the entire outlook of their defense right now, and he's turned into, they got a great second pair shutdown.
Yeah.
So if they want to do it from the back end, like, they can.
Temperature in the room's changed an awful lot over the last couple of weeks.
Oh, man. Okay, well, listen, if you want all the odds on this, you can go to betmgm.com/dangle. It's betmgm.com/dangle for terms and conditions and futures. The Canucks are definitely looking at the market for both players, and you should be prepared for all outcomes. There's really three of them. Neither gets dealt, one gets dealt, or both gets dealt.
That is all possible scenarios.
That is Elliot Friedman on JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. And
He didn't say anything.
No, he's laying it out. They could have both been waived.
the
Or
reality
one
is,
gets waived, or neither gets waived.
That's everything. You didn't say anything.
now they've got no moves. They can't get waived.
Oh, shoot.
Now,
Then he did say everything.
The interesting part
nothing.
about this is it's not really that sentence. It's the and Julie and Chris talked about this too. This did a great breakdown. The key is that at game 40 or 41, wherever the Canucks are, we're talking about one of their two best pieces being moved. And the fact is, the Canucks management has put it out there to the media that, hey, we're looking at both. I don't believe that. I think this is their way of saying both of you guys need to grow up. I don't believe for a second that the Canucks are looking at markets for both players. I think they're looking at markets for one of the players. I don't know which one, but I do not believe in my heart of hearts that the Canucks don't know which one they'd rather trade and which one they'd rather hang on to. They just don't want that out there publicly.
I don't get why. Like, listen, whatever's going on here, we obviously don't know the full story, but there is obviously a story.
Yeah.
I thought it was adorable that the Canucks have, or not the Canucks really, but Miller and Pettersson specifically tried to pretend this wasn't a thing. Like, I've known about this for like a year.
Yep.
Like, it's a very poorly kept secret with the Vancouver Canucks organization that these two don't like each other. What I don't understand, like, it's hard to make a good team in the NHL. It's hard to find star talent in the NHL. And with the Canucks, there's a lot of suffering there involved in these two players. You picked 5th overall. That means things didn't go well. And you nailed it. You nailed the 5th overall pick with Elias Pettersson. You acquired JT Miller for a first-round pick, I want to say a year after you didn't make the playoffs. You traded a first-round pick for that player. You nuts? And he was probably their MVP during that COVID bubble.
Oh, yeah.
And everything. Then the Canadian season, he just completely was, I only feel like playing 100 of the 200 feet. But then JT Miller goes right back to being a killer for the team. Quinn Hughes emerges. You gain a little bit of stability in net because Demko's back and Lankinen's been unreal. And you had Archer Seelovs, who was so good for you.
In the playoffs, yeah.
There's a lot of things going really well for the Canucks, and there's plenty of reason to believe this team can go on a deep run, and maybe should have gone on a deeper one last year if Besser doesn't get hurt before Game 7. Or no, it was a blood clot before Game 7. The fact these two can't see past their dislike of each other, I think, is so short-sighted. Like, it's funny that we're talking about this today, because my For You page on TikTok brought up it was a podcast clip. Matt Barnes, I think is the guy's name. He was hosting a show with Kevin Durant on it, and they were talking about, do you remember when Draymond Green basically said to Kevin Durant, like, we won without you, we don't need you?
Yes.
Like, what an unbelievable, unforced error. Like, if you two can just get along, literally shut up. Like, just enjoy. I'm not even asking you to enjoy each other's company. I'm asking you to be amicable coworkers. You'll win. You know how we know that? You won multiple championships together, and now all of a sudden you don't like each other, now all of a sudden you're telling them like we won without you. Okay, we won with you also. It'll be way easier to win with you. One of the wildest things, one of the wildest stretches of hockey I think we've seen out of a duo of players is when Rick Tocchet was the new coach of the Vancouver Canucks. He puts JT Miller and Elias Pettersson together on the penalty kill, and they were outscoring the opponent's power play. They were friggin' murderers together. I don't understand why they can't see past it.
I also want to say that people forget the Vancouver Canucks took the Edmonton Oilers to 7 games last year without their starting goaltender and without Brock Besser going into Game 7.
Exactly.
Like this is a very good hockey team that currently sits with only 44 points. I know the West is stronger this year, but they are in the last wild card spot, a point up on the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, but
they're better than that.
At the beginning of the year, knowing how few games Demko was going to play, you probably take that, right? Like,
I think you want more than that.
I
think you do.
No, but like I'm saying, at this point in the season, you go, all right, we didn't have our starting goalie, who's like probably a top 10 starter when he's healthy.
Yep.
We don't have him for nearly half the season. Are we in the playoff conversation?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then we know when we get him back, we're going to take off and we'll make the playoffs pretty comfortably, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the beginning of the season, I think you take this outcome. You're not going to get a great return for Pettersson, or you're not going to get Pettersson return for Pettersson. Are you going to get Miller return for Miller? The easiest and best outcome is they simply work together. I can't understand. I don't know what the cardinal sin either of them is committed that one can't forgive the other or whatever.
Right.
Maybe we'll never know the real answer. Maybe they just can't stand each other. But man, you gotta. I'm trying to remember who told me this story, but like PK Subban used to grind people's gears. But
I can see why.
Yeah, sure.
The guy's like, he's got golden retriever energy.
Yeah, but guys were like, yeah, but then the playoffs come around and he's
an absolute monster.
Crazy.
Yeah.
He's a gamer. Both those guys are gamers. I don't get it.
Well, and I think there's a thing that leads me to believe if all things were equal, the Canucks would probably lean towards keeping JT Miller. And it comes down to a quote from Patrick Alvin, and he said that Pettersson needs more maturity. And they rebuilt that second line. That Alvin quote, by the way, was from like last week. They rebuilt that second line after the playoffs last year because they were playing him with guys that I'd never heard of. And I'm like, how come I've never heard of this guy? It's like, oh yeah, because he's only played 3 NHL games. And he's gonna be in the second line against Edmonton. That's cool. Great. So they go out, they get Jake DeBrusk. And Pettersson's still sluggish to start. And I think what it comes down to from things I've watched and heard, whatever, is that JT Miller is almost like a Blake Wheeler light. I don't want to quite put it on Blake Wheeler level because Blake Wheeler went over the line many, many times in Winnipeg to the point where him and Scheifele and then the rest of the guys, there was a lot of hatred in that dressing room. And Miller is a leader on this team, has been for half a decade, but if he's chirping at you on the bench about, hey, you didn't do this or you didn't do that, and then you show JT Miller him playing defense the majority of the time, like before Tocchet got there, I'd be like, I don't give a shit what your opinion is. Try harder.
Yeah, what about you?
You have all the talent in the world. Try harder.
Yeah, worry about your house.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but I think in letting that slip, with Alvin letting that slip, Pettersson's deal is harder to move. It's $11.5 million. It's just the reality of it. But if you move on from him, Miller had an unbelievable playoff last year. And
Pettersson did not.
And he didn't. Now, again, go back and look at the game logs. Go look at who he was playing with.
Yeah.
But at $11.5 million, what do we say in Toronto?
Find a way.
Doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
Got to drive that line, don't you?
Brad Richardson was on Missing Curfew talking about it, and he played with these two guys, and the feedback he basically gave is Miller is just on Pettersson, like on him, and the feedback was you're going to lose this kid. Like, there is a skill to delivering a message.
Yeah, and JT Miller doesn't have a skill at delivering any message.
What?
Just watch him in front of the media. And Vancouver media is tough, but yeah.
In front of his teammates.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, though, still.
Like, think of how complimentary people are of Luke Shen and the kind of guy he is, right? And, you know, they were going at it and everything. This isn't to say Miller's a bad guy or a bad player, but, like, communication is a skill. And the guy I think about in all this, you know, people keep talking about Rick Tocchet because, I mean, when he was hired, like, didn't it seem like he was basically the Miller whisperer? Like, that was basically his entire job. Hey, you figured out Kessel and Malkin, you can figure out this guy. Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is younger than Elias Pettersson. And I think your captain needs to be able to tell anyone in that room to fuck off if he has to. Can he? Like, he's obviously one of the best defensemen in the NHL. He's probably going to win himself another Norris. You could argue he's the best defenseman in the NHL. I think at minimum he's been the best defenseman in the NHL this season. It's not about that. The Canucks don't have a talent problem. They have a room management problem. And who's helping this kid manage this situation? There's a vacuum here because Miller's supposed to be one of the leaders. Pettersson is too.
Well, with whether you wear the A or not, the contract says you're a leader.
The contract says you're a leader. The point total that is expected of you says you're a leader. And the exact same thing goes for Miller.
Jesse, what do you have there on the screen?
No, I just wanted to ask Steve a question.
Go, get in there.
I just want to know, like, you're...
Okay.
Because you brought up something interesting with Hughes, and do you think that there's a reluctance from Vancouver fans or Vancouver media to put some of this onus on Quinn Hughes?
Oh, 100%.
Because of who he is, and he's a great personality, and everybody loves him, fan favorite, obviously. Yes. But as the captain, should not some of this responsibility fall on him in controlling the room, or is that, do you think, outside of his role?
It's definitely inside his role. But talk to Yvan Cournoyer at the 2010 Olympics. And when he was talking about the dynasty Montreal Canadiens of the 70s, he was talking about, like, well, our room had like 14 captains, right? So Quinn Hughes is the captain, and that makes him the leader in a room full of leaders, right? But he's the biggest one. He's the most important one. He wears the C. It is a committee job. Who's helping him? It can't just be the coach. The coach's job is totally different from the captain's, I think. The message has to also come from the players. Who is helping this kid manage the situation? And, like, it just came out of me. Like I said, he's a kid. Like, some people are really mature at a young age. You know, Landeskog was captain at whatever, and Toews was captain at whatever, and Crosby was captain at whatever. But, like, you can't tell me Crosby isn't a better leader now than when he was like 20 or 21. Like, of course he is. He's just a more well-rounded person. That's how life is generally supposed to work. So when you say onus, I'm worried about that wording because, like, it's a lot of responsibility for Quinn, but who is helping him? It can't just be him. Like, he could have some sort of big, blustery blow up publicly or in the room, you know, that we never necessarily hear about. He needs to be backed up. I don't think it can necessarily seem like a taking sides thing. Like, it's one thing if he blows up a Miller and Pettersson stands up and goes, yeah. Like, I think that's going to fall on deaf ears and vice versa. Who's helping him? Like, is it DeBrusk? Is it Besser? Is it Tyler Myers has been in the NHL for a very long time.
Thatcher Demko, maybe.
That's the goalie.
Yeah, but he's like one of the best players on the team and highly respected.
I don't think goalies really take that role
No?
in locker rooms.
Wasn't that a Bieksa story about Luongo when he was captain and he stood up and he was like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and everyone was just sort of like,
That's the goal.
"Okay, thanks, Lou."
Right.
Like, it's the goalie, right? Like, Hronik's out, and like he's a somewhat young player too. Who is helping this kid?
Yeah, it sounds like they've lost control over the entire locker room.
And Tocchet was, as you mentioned earlier, the guy that was able to keep peace between Phil Kessel and Evgeny Malkin long enough to win a cup. And two.
Look where they are in the standing. Like, this isn't the Rangers. The
No.
Canucks are not the Rangers.
No.
Like, this is a fixable situation.
Well, they're saying, though, like the fact that it's erupted at this point leads a lot of people to believe that it might not be. And I know
don't get it.
usually the usual outcome is the most boring, which is nobody gets traded. But you do have a willing suitor for JT Miller in the New York Rangers. They want this guy bad.
And everyone.
I don't blame them.
Everyone should want JT Miller. He's a good hockey player.
Do you think, guys, that this ends in a trade or this ends in went away?
I worry about the long-term success about the Canucks this season because if you look at their last 12 games, they are 4-4-4. They have 12 points in 12 games, which is a terrible 82-game pace, and that's not a short amount of time. That's the last 4 weeks. I know the Christmas break is in there, but that's not an insignificant amount of time considering right now Hughes and Pettersson are traveling with the team, but they are still out. They are not playing. They didn't play the last game. Demko had back spasms. He had to leave the game on, what was that, Saturday? And Lankinen comes in, saves the day. They win in a shootout and all that, but now he has back spasms. I don't know how long that's going to be.
No
and then Hronik's been out for the whole season. So you got 4 guys who are like the pillar of your team plus JT Miller there. So 4 out of the 5 guys you look to being the anchors of this team are out. And like injuries can change day to day. Maybe they're all back in the lineup tomorrow. But it's considering they weren't playing well for the last 4 weeks and now everybody's kind of hurt and then the locker room sucks. I worry about this winter and them just floating the boat enough to get into the playoffs.
Here's a list of Canucks 30 and up. So who's going to speak up? Who's going to be the veteran in the room to speak up? Okay. Tyler Myers is the oldest player on the team. Derek Forbort has played 12 games. Okay, so maybe we leave him out. JT Miller, third oldest. Okay. Phil Di Giuseppe, who has played 7 games. Okay, so we maybe leave him out. Carson Soucy and Teddy Bluger. That kind of makes me go, yeah, trade. Like, because even if you keep both guys, I think it's clear that you need a shakeup there. I think you need a different mix, and you need at least. I think you need more than one guy who can come into that locker room and be a forceful voice.
Could it be a trade that adds pieces instead of taking away one of the two best?
Yeah.
Because this is a team that, like we were talking about, was very close to beating Edmonton last playoffs.
You
maybe-
might have to take away, like it might have to be a hockey trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you add.
Well, maybe the Nashville Predators, who seem to be helping everybody out with all their moves, Fabro and Carey and all that stuff, maybe they can help out the Canucks and they can bring Luke Schenn back. There's a guy with some presence, has played there,
That would
understands
be a
it.
fascinating move. Fascinating. Ooh,
Leader,
because
great
of
in
the
playoffs.
history too.
Yeah, like I want Luke Schenn to be a Leaf again, but like I also.
Oh, that's a fascinating move. You're cooking with gas on that one, Adam. That's a fun one.
If you've got some people with some tenure there that need help, or there needs to be a barrier between the two of them, Luke Schenn's the guy, to me.
Oh man.
So
I love that.
I'm reading. I've got Chris Johnson's article about it.
Boo.
And he said obviously, how real is the rift? And essentially he says Miller is a hyper-competitive guy who can be abrasive, isn't afraid to push those around him. Pettersson is more withdrawn, more cerebral, more sensitive, and certainly not prone to confrontation by nature. And he said it's not unique. This has happened a lot of time. And this has been happening for a while. We just didn't know about it necessarily. So it's the whole thing is fascinating. And to kind of wrap the segment, I think it's just more, I think it's a wait and see. But my guess is that nothing happens here and they shut up and figure it out, at least until the summer. It's worth that at least. If you got to make a move in the summer, make it in the summer. But doing it now, like you could go to the Rangers and they're going to be like, cool, we'll give you Mika Zibanejad's contract. And Mika's a great player, and I think he's better than what he's shown this year, but that's a huge risk for the Canucks. And there would be more included in that, but what else?
Maybe the focus, like I think the playoffs have a habit of pulling focus.
Yes.
When it's easier to focus on hockey, and you're not traveling city to city to city to city, like it's you're on a mission. You're locked in this series against one team. You have a common enemy, not one that changes every couple days. Maybe that helps this team. They're one of the more fascinating teams in the league because I see their situation as entirely fixable. But maybe we're running out of time there.
January, a time for new beginnings.
Yes.
And listen, sometimes after seeing your family over the holidays, you go, I got to talk to somebody about this.
Well, I got a lot to unpack.
That's why we think BetterHelp might be for you. And January is a good time to start these things. It is a time for new beginnings. And really, mental health, there's never a bad time to get started. So if you are sort of looking at your New Year's resolutions and going, something feels like it's missing, nothing feels as good as a head that feels like it's put on right. Honestly, I'll tell you that. Therapy is worth it, and BetterHelp might be for you because what's great about it is it works within your schedule. It's not like a 9-to-5 thing. You can have therapy with BetterHelp at any time. Also, you can do it via chat. You can do it via FaceTime. You can do it just via phone. That's how I do my therapy.
And not chat as in like the live stream chat.
No.
You know, when you're streaming, you're like, hey, chat, what's going on? No. Not that. You're like, just
hey, therapist,
chat.
like Spike.
Let's chat? Is this
that.
anxiety?
Right. Yeah, don't do that.
So find your comfort in 2025 with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/STP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/STP. Let's talk a little bit about the World Juniors. Yesterday, two great games. The bronze medal game between Czechia and Sweden was unbelievable. Like just a really great hockey game. So much fun. It was nice to have that as a lead into the Leafs game. Gold medal game, obviously, USA wins against Finland. Although I have to say Finland's semifinal win against Sweden, I think might have been the game of the tournament. When they win it in overtime and they're chanting afterwards and like, you know, they're Nordic rivals. And like, it was just, there is something very magical about the World Juniors. What is not magical is 2 quarterfinals exits for Team Canada.
After back-to-back golds.
Yes.
Because it's funny. I'm seeing a lot of what happened to Canada and the Canadian hockey crisis. Like, the World Junior Tournament, talking about it can be exhausting. Because it's either Canada wins gold or the entire thing needs to be blown up. And that's just an exhausting way to operate. This year is way different, I think. Roster construction, every year there's going to be 1 or 2 guys who get left off or get put on. You raise your eyebrows. I don't know about that decision. Meh. Every decision they made was poor.
Well, you leave 5 of the best players from Canada out of the program.
Michael Misa, there's no justification. He's scoring about a goal a game.
Beckett Seneca.
Hayden
Lindstrom. TJ Ginla.
Yep.
Like these guys
those 2 guys are hurt.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I believe. No, but they're on
But you didn't
the
even
list
invite the 3rd overall pick to camp.
and then you did. And then he performed well. And then you didn't have him on the team anyway. And what was the whole point of that? What was that performative nonsense? You Carter Yakimchuk, Zane Parek. Okay, we're only going to take one of them. That I understand. Neither? Are you nuts?
And then when Schaefer goes down, you don't have anybody to step into his role.
You have 2 guys who play together in Rykov and oh man, who's the other one? Whatever. They play together in the O. You don't play them together during the tournament. Who was the other kid who was it Andrew Crystal who plays in the States and like wasn't even considered because he doesn't play in Canada? That's absurd.
Because he's USHL.
And let's this is going to be very simplistic and bordering on arrogant and insulting. I'm going to say it anyway. David Cameron hasn't won a damn thing.
Yeah.
Well, hey, what about all the gold medals? Because he's won a few gold medals with this Canadian program. There were years, and a lot of people are going to shake their head, but a lot of people are going to agree. There were years where I think you could have put a gerbil behind the bench of Team Canada and they win gold. Or maybe a larger house pet. Mm-hmm. Perhaps a medium-sized dog. In the OHL, in Austria, in the NHL.
And the AHL.
And the AHL. What's he done?
Well, if you go and you would look at his record, not only does he not have any championships in league play. So that's the key, right? He has 0 championships in league play. He has little to no success even making the playoffs. It's rare that they're in, and it's rare that when they are in, that they're in for long.
He made the playoffs once as an NHL coach, and it's because his team's 3rd or 4th string goalie went 21-2.
That's the Andrew Hammond year.
The Hamburglar run. He was the guy who had the golden ticket for the Hamburglar run, and how'd they do?
Not good.
In the first round. Listen, David Cameron, I'm going to say, despite everything that's happened, is a good coach. He's been in the OHL for a very long time. He's had lots of good regular seasons. He's had some deep playoff runs. Fine. The best this country has to offer, Canada. We're talking about what happened to Canada. The best this country has to offer, I don't believe you. That's impossible. How many dozens and dozens of coaches are available?
Well, I don't think that's how it's built, though. The way it's built is you've been here a long time, so it's your turn to get a shot, which is not how you build a successful program. You build a successful program by bringing winners in. You've been here for 10 years? This guy's been here for 3, but his results say, or her results say, that they're a winner. I'm going with the winner.
Oh, there's nothing Hockey Canada loves more than seniority.
Tenure is their thing.
And also, do I know you? Or your brother?
And
it's terrible, and it needs to be blown up.
And it's a very political process. The Beckett Seneke not being invited to me just screams politics. We just don't like you, meh. We're not going to look at your results. We're not going to look at the strength of your play. We don't like you for whatever reason, and we have our reasons, and we don't like you. And we interviewed you once and asked you a stupid question about what would you rather be, a hippo or a lion, and you answered wrong, and we don't like that. That's how these fucking guys operate. And this is where I think I found it extraordinarily patronizing. And I know it comes from a good place, but I have to say it. Rod McLean on Hockey Night in Canada made several attempts to talk about how proud we were, or he was, because I don't think when he says we, he's not speaking for me. How proud we are supposed to be of these kids that went and played.
No.
Hang on. Let me finish this.
No, so sorry.
It's important.
Sorry.
Because I don't want you to
passionate.
I don't want you to confuse me here. I think the world of those kids that went and played, but I think that the management for Team Canada, and you're right to not be proud of this, the management for Team Canada gave them a flawed team. Yeah. It's not the players' fault. The management for Team Canada made this team, made these calls, made Dave Cameron the coach, made all of these political decisions.
Made them not practice.
And let's go through the practice thing, because I think this is important. They lost to Latvia. They canceled practice the next day. They lost to the USA. They canceled practice after that. The quarterfinal match, they canceled the morning skate. And Dave Cameron said, because we're exhausted, there's no system for tired hockey players. I'm sorry, it's a tournament.
And it's in Canada.
Part of it, and they're staying at the hotel, which is right across the street from the Canadian Tire Center.
Tournaments in the States next year. Don't even bother going. You're tired, right? What are you going to go? You lost to 2 teams who took transatlantic flights. Are you out of your mind?
And had to travel 30 minutes each way to get to the arena for each game, because Canada had all access to the hotel right across the street. There aren't many hotels in the area. Everybody else had to stay downtown. And this is where I want to say, I am not proud of this as a Canadian fan. I'm not. And that's okay. I don't have to be, hold on. Sure. I don't have to be, I'm not going to, do I need to sit here and tell you that blowing up Easton Cowan's Instagram comments is wrong? No, I don't need to tell you.
It happens every year.
I don't need to fucking tell you that. Yeah. If you do that, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
What I do need to tell you is I don't need to be proud of a quarterfinals out. I don't need to be proud of that. No. I, as a Canadian, don't need to accept that. And what drives me crazy, and we have this thing here in Canada, it's like, well, they showed up and they put on the jerseys and everybody tried their best. I'm sorry, this is a results business.
That's the minority. It's the minority.
Well, it's the minority who are in charge, Steve. And when Ron, it goes back to what Ron was saying on Hockey Night in Canada, and it comes from a good place with Ron. It's not like Ron's like, I love losing. Ron is trying to stop people from blowing up these 17 and 18-year-old kids' Instagram accounts, which is laudable and respectable, and I get it.
Yeah.
Don't try to tell me how to feel about the result, though. I don't like that.
It's a misunderstanding entirely of the criticism of this team.
Yes.
Like, I don't know why Easton Cowan ate so much shit. Well, actually, I do. I mean, he was very undisciplined. But then the coach is asked about it, and he's like, well, the players know not to take penalties, so they should.
Here's what he said. I can't address it. They know it. They know that penalties are penalties. You could talk all you want. They have to decide. Simple as that. And he said the tournament is too short to start benching guys after every call.
He seemed like he couldn't be bothered to be there, Cameron. Like, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of excuses made.
I'm sorry you were burdened with being the head coach of Team Canada. I'm sure there was a real inconvenience for you. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't understand. Like, Easton Cowan got, like, I thought a disproportionate amount of criticism. He wasn't good.
Well, it's because he was the best player going in. Highest score.
He was also coming off an injury. And I just wonder if every year some kid gets hurt end of November, beginning of December, and goes, nope, I'm fine. I want to wear the crest. I'm fine. And they're not. You're not playing at 100%. This is Team Canada. We need you at 100%. You are not at 80% better than the 100% guys we're leaving off this team. This is the best of the best of the best. Easton Cowan at 90, 85, 80% is not better than Seneca, Misa, Crystal, guys who were left off this team. And I love Easton Cowan. I do.
Maybe with an injury, he can play a second line role.
Yeah. Anyway. And Gavin McKenna not playing enough. It's like every decision was wrong, basically. To me, the players out of the whole equation deserve the least amount of criticism.
Yes, I agree.
It was beginning, middle, end, how the team was assembled and then run from management and then coaching. It was bad.
Well, and this is where Hockey Canada needs other reform. Obviously, they've needed reform for many reasons outside of actual hockey.
Yes.
Right? And we've discussed that at length over the last half decade. The next step for Hockey Canada is, and this has been a topic of conversation when you look at the USA program, when you look at the German program, and you look at the success of some of these programs that are newer, cutting edge. Hockey Canada refuses to change. And you have to remember, and unified, you have to remember here too, Hockey Canada is probably 15 years behind some of these programs, but the thing is they've been relying on the fact that Canada produces some of the best talent in the world.
They've become arrogant and lazy.
Yeah,
because
when you get into that position, it's well paid. You have to be in the club, and if you're in the club, you don't really get fired. And especially if you're winning,
you do not put
winning papers a lot of stuff, man. Papers over a lot of stuff.
You're telling me Hockey Canada puts in more effort into what they do than USA Hockey?
Doubt it.
You're out of your fucking mind.
And the reason that two quarterfinal exits in a row is a indictment on this program, is that we are no longer in the Canada-USA world of hockey. It is Canada, USA, Sweden, Finland. Germany is on its way up. Czechia is spectacular.
Latvia is on its way up.
You are looking at a program here that is dated and is skating on insane talent that is developed in Canada every year. They will always have that. But the reality of the situation is Hockey Canada is outdated. And the distractions of what happened at the World Juniors that is now being litigated in court have taken away from the fact that there is major reform needed within the program. And if you ask people, people, coaches, whatever, at lower levels of Hockey Canada, they will tell you that. This program needs huge reform. And it starts with removing people who don't want to reform it. You don't have room for new ideas when somebody is in the same position for 20 years and only believes there is one way to win. You have to, if you're in that position for 20 years, be constantly fighting for new ideas, constantly fighting for new ways to do things, testing, going around. Hockey Canada doesn't do that.
No.
And they'll tell you they do it, but the results are the results. And I do get pissed off when Canada does poorly at the World Juniors. Sure. I think they should look at this and go, and I look at their quotes and it's like, yeah, well, you can blame me. Nobody's heard of some of these guys. Oh, you can blame me. I hired the coach. I hired the scouts. Then resign. Resign then.
Blame you.
If you okay. I can blame you. Sure. What can I do about it?
I blame you then.
Then I blame you.
Great idea.
I'll take the resignation though. Or I'll take you changing your responsibilities and allowing new people. You had the entire OHL, WHL, and QMJHL to pick from.
And NCAA.
And you took Dave Cameron? That alone is an insane decision. That's an insane decision.
It's lazy.
No, I am helping my friend. Dave Cameron is my friend. So I'm going to give him this plum position. Oh no, he fucked it up. Now I look bad.
Yeah.
This is a really, and people have been saying this for years. I hope as Canadians, you understand listening to this, that we are going to live in a post-Canada dominant world here in hockey very soon if things don't change. USA is going to dominate.
They're crazy.
They're already crazy at the NHL level.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have 10 times the population. Mm-hmm. They have a lot. There are more hockey fans in the United States than there are in Canada. Doesn't that scare you? You should probably do something about it. You're small. Canada needs to operate like it should in the world, which is we have a smaller population. We have to do things different and cutting edge in order to maintain our advantage. We have to operate like Sweden and Finland do, who have a third of the population or a quarter of the population Canada does. And they're able to compete with Canada. What excuse do we have that a country a quarter of our size is kicking our ass?
Latvia, who has like a handful of guys from the queue beating you, it's unacceptable.
Latvia has less people than live in the city of Toronto.
It's their win.
Toronto has like 2.5 million in Toronto Central. Latvia has 1.8 million people in the entire country.
Any win on the international stage for them is Herculean.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy. It's man, you can't tell me there wasn't like a little party that was cheering for them.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
It's cool. It's a great story. I think we need to actually turn our focus to maybe reform the actual hockey program. Start operating not like you're the big dog, but like you got something to prove again. Because you're not the big dog. You're objectively not.
These Team USA guys play together, like from a very young age.
That's the thing too, right?
And
they identify these guys, they put them together, they have built-in chemistry. Like, why don't we do that?
No, how about you select a random group of young men, have them not practice together, and hope for the friggin' best?
Oh, they're
no wonder
tired.
You lost.
They're tired. It's a tournament, man. You get tired. Don't skate them so fucking hard then. Make them put on their skates and work on some strategy.
You're just not the right guy for the job.
No.
And if the team's tired, you're not the right kids for the job. And it all comes down to the guys at the top are not the right guys for the job.
Jesse, I know we have sucked up all the oxygen.
I don't like Hockey Canada and the way they run their organization.
Agreed.
Like, it's definitely turned into a political mess as opposed to we're trying to build a great hockey community in Canada as a whole for Canadians. Like they've lost the plot a long way. And no, you guys said some fantastic stuff about the people who are there in charge. And you look at somebody like Scott Salmon, who was kind of the overseer of hiring Dave Cameron and bringing this team together. That guy's worked at Hockey Canada since 2001. he's been running this part of the World Junior program, I believe, since 2018, and through there, like, you've seen the progression of the other countries catch up to Canada. And a lot of our view of the World Junior Tournament is clouded by the 2005 through 2009 teams, where Canada won every single gold medal.
Yes.
That's the outlier.
That
right?
is truly where Canada dominated because of our ages and people who grew up in that era, and we were all kids then. Every Christmas and Boxing Day through to the New Year, we watched Canada win gold medal year after year after year. But from 2010 through 2017, Canada won one gold medal.
Yeah.
They weren't good. No. And that is the true history of our program for the last, was that 25 years?
That's 15 years.
Sorry, 15 years.
And that was the McDavid year.
So
it took Connor McDavid to win a goal.
So for the last 15 years, this team really hasn't been what we imagined them to be. And it has been those outliers where they have this exceptional talent in the years where they've won a few different gold medals through 2018 through now. And the last few years, we see that these are the actual results of the program. These are the results of people who've been around since 2001 in Hockey Canada doing the same thing. And it's not trying to build great hockey players in this country and building great teams. It's running whatever political game they want to run behind the scenes that we don't even know at that level that they're doing right now. And it's like, it makes me care less about these teams because I don't like Hockey Canada at any level right now.
It makes them hard to cheer for.
And how do I maintain my benefits and my sweet salary? Through state funded and because that's what it is. Hockey Canada is state funded, along with sponsorships, right? How do I keep my sweet government job and my sweet government benefits while working in the candy store because I get to work at hockey? Amazing. And do the least amount of work possible.
And so that guy up there is trying to just keep his job for 30 years and then retire with all of his millions of dollars or whatever he's getting paid. And through that, he hires his buddy. And that's how Dave Cameron, who has consistently not been good at this tournament and nobody likes as a coach, gets the job because he's given him that position so he can maintain that. And it just goes from top to the bottom. And then you get the result of a team that's not good on the ice at all. And that it all just trickles down to year after year, Team Canada's not truly building a great hockey program or a great team.
Here's what I mean by it makes them hard to cheer for. I'll cheer for anyone that wears the red leaf, right? I'm Canadian. I want Canada to win. There you go. But if you were not Team Canada, if you were Team Red and Team Blue and Team Green and Team Orange, and I had to pick a team, I would never pick you. The way you're run, if you were not Team Canada, I would never pick you. You're hard to cheer for.
Yeah, I don't cheer for the success of those executives there. Because all they've proven is that they're slimy and running political games.
They're political, they're slimy, they're arrogant and lazy and outdated, and it's time to go.
I look at a guy like Greg Walters, who is the head coach of the currently of the first place Windsor Spitfires, and points percentage wise, technically the London Knights are first place in the OHL. But I look at this guy, and I look at his coaching totals, and with Owen Sound, he was fired last year when they were third in their division. They finished third in their division the previous year and third in their division the previous year to that. With Oshawa, he was also third in the East and then second in the East. Mm-hmm. Those two previous years. This guy's lost in the conference finals. The season was canceled the next year because of COVID. Lost in the conference quarters, and then he was fired last year and then in 2023, and then brought in by the Spits this year. And look at that, they're doing great. Now, I know the OHL is also a talent-driven game. Certain years, you're going to have like the Petes this year they're in the cycle. Mm-hmm. So the lower end of the cycle, and you build up. Except for the London Knights, who somehow always evade that.
Yeah. It happens for almost every team every, 3 years.
Here's a guy that he doesn't have any championships except for in the OJHL he had many. But he's been coaching pretty well for the last few years. Mm. Compare and contrast that. Go look up Dave Cameron, who is the Ottawa 67 coach. And Ottawa, as far as I know, is okay. Actually, they're bad. They are 8th in their conference currently. out of 10 teams. So you're telling me, and I get it. Again, part of it's cyclical. Okay, so I'll give the 67 some credit. But you're telling me that was the best guy available. I just cherry picked the guy by Googling him.
You should compare even Dave Cameron to the guys who's across the box, next to him, where you got the camera sitting in the middle, and across the other side is David Carl, the head coach of USA, who is on like a generational run right now. He's the current coach of University of Denver, who won the championship, the NCAA championship in 21-22, wins the gold medal last year with the USA, wins the NCAA championship again with the University of Denver this past season, and then wins gold medal again. Like, there's a guy.
You know why they picked him? Because of all the shit you just said. He wasn't,
Right.
oh, we like him and he's the next guy up and sometimes we go drinking together.
Yeah. Could it be that, like, hey, this guy who's consistently won at the highest level of collegiate hockey is good to coach USA?
It's crazy. What a concept, Jesse.
So, and then you got David Carl, and he's staring across the little bench there to Dave Cameron. You compare resumes, and you're like, this guy's going to outcoach him every day of the week.
I want to remind you of this. Okay? I want to remind you of the Dave Cameron record. And listen, I don't even know if this is Dave Cameron's fault. It's the guy who picked him fault. Ottawa. NHL coaching record with Ottawa. 14-15 and 15-16. He made the first round because of the Hamburglar run. Didn't qualify the next year. Fired. He, in 882 OHL coaching games, 4 division titles.
Great.
And that's over the course of on and off 10, 15 years. Okay. 0 J. Ross Robertson Cups. 0 Memorial Cups. American Hockey League. He coached there for 3 years in the early 2000s. Okay. From 04 to 07. Lost division semifinals 1 time and then missed the playoffs the next 2 years. So 1 division title and 0 cups. Colonial Hockey League. And this is...
What?
Exactly. The Colonial Hockey League. 0 division titles, 0 Colonial Cups. This guy is not a winner. Not a winner.
Listen, I don't want to tear him down to the point where we're convinced he's a terrible coach.
You don't need to convince me.
Here's what I'm going to offer. There's no way he's the best.
Yes.
There's no way he's the best available. Like, if Canada's strategy has been to just sit back and pick the best talent because we're always going to have the best talent, why does that not apply to coaching? There's no way he's the best.
Because that's not how it's run. And that's what we've all talked about this. That is not how it's run. And I think it's important that people listening at home know this. And, they talked about change. Cassie Campbell's now on the board and I really hope internally they're doing a review because Cassie's not one to sit back and enjoy this.
No. And really underratedly, like Zane Parekh, kind of subtweeting them a little bit on social media.
Good.
Yeah, but dude, that's
now
it's a terrible sign for where the program's at. It's bad.
It's bad. I want to talk a little bit
before you move on quickly from the tournament. I don't know how Cole Hudson fell to the Washington Capitals in the second round, 43rd overall. Lane Hudson's little brother, but he was the first ever defenseman to lead the tournament outright in points. That dude's going to dominate the NHL. I don't know how he's a second round pick.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts, eh?
It's insane.
You know what? He
looks so good.
You know what's going to be really fun when he gets into the NHL and we get to have the debate of which Hudson brother is better and just get into Canadians fan skin.
Jesse Adams is going to like this. He was picked in the second round.
Does that mean he's going to regress his way to the NHL?
Hey, who?
Sorry.
Hudson was picked with a second round pick by the Washington Capitals. How the Capitals get that second round pick?
I think they got it from the Leafs in the Sandin trade, did they not? Or Gustafsson?
From the Sabres for Beck Mallenstein.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah. That's a Sabres draft pick right there.
No! Are you serious?
Yeah, it's fun.
Man.
Beck.
Funny, I should say.
Hudson's got to be so thrilled that Kevin Adams is a GM. Otherwise, he'd be stuck in the Buffalo Sabres program, which is awful.
You think they would have picked him?
Oh, probably not. No.
That's true.
No, there's another program that needs a little bit of an overhaul.
No shot.
Couple of things I want to mention. Jonathan Toews, there's a story about him coming back. He's 37 years old. Apparently, Toronto and Winnipeg are 2 teams that would check in on that. And he's had
Toews is 37.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Oh my God.
He's been suffering from this immune response thing that essentially creates inflammation. He talked about his healing journey, went to India, did a bunch of things. I won't get into that part of it too much because I don't frankly understand it, but these are NHL players and they are obsessed with health and getting the most out of their bodies. He wants to return. I think it's smart of the Leafs to check in on this guy because they need centers.
I mean,
but
yeah.
He's apparently resuming some sort of conditioning. My question is it better to, there's not a lot of guys. There might be 25 guys older than him currently in the NHL. Might even be less, 37.
Oh, less.
So is it better for him to start training now, then take the summer, then get a PTO in the fall? Or do you go, hey, it's Jonathan Toews. He probably hasn't forgotten how to play hockey, just needs to get his conditioning up, and sign him and try him out at the AHL level first. Like what do you do here? Because it's a little late. It gets late early, right?
I know the conversation I'm putting Toews in is insulting to his legacy, but I'm doing it anyway. Who has tried to do what Toews has done in recent memory?
Peter Holland.
And Cody Hodgson.
Yep. And they were 32 and 34?
Neither are still playing.
Yeah.
I played in a tournament with Cody Hodgson recently. He was a celebrity you could pick at the Eric
I was there
Celebrity
too.
Hockey Classic. Yeah, Jesse also played.
We played with Cody Hodgson.
Hey, they were still in the AHL.
Yeah.
Second best league in the world.
Yeah, and he scored and he did okay.
Are you talking about our tournament or in the?
I assume he scored in our tournament. We didn't get to play against him, unfortunately.
No.
But Christopher Stieg had a very shorthanded team, and I think he played the entire game. But it worked very briefly. Didn't end up making it to the NHL. Peter Holland, same thing. Bless the both of them. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they tried. They left no stone unturned, and they can retire on their terms and feel good about it. Mm-hmm. It didn't work, in terms of an NHL comeback. Jonathan Toews had a far better career than both those guys, but wow, taking that amount of time off is tough.
It's not the exact same, but you can add Phil Kessel to that list. That's somebody who
tried to
skated with in Vancouver to try and get a deal last year, and nobody wanted him, even though he showcased what he could do on the ice and everything.
I'll be honest.
And now
They
it's
could have
2
used
years.
him in the playoffs. They could have.
Well,
they were playing guys with 3 games experience. They could have used him.
He might not have been good enough. They probably couldn't use him because he wasn't good enough.
This is why, the conversation arose again recently. Mario Lemieux in his comeback game against the damn Leafs, and putting up multiple goals and points after not playing for 3 years. He was the best player in the world, did not play for 3 years, came back and was the best player in the world. We'll never see it again. What an alien! What an alien from outer space to be able to do that. Toews is really up against it.
The one exception I'll put on that is we're going to see, I assume, Gabriel Landeskog go 3 years without playing come this spring, and he's going to come back and be fine.
You think so?
If he comes
I think they're going to need
That's
an
an
answer
interesting
on that.
one. It's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one. But Landeskog has also been rehabbing his injury with an NHL team the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge difference. Toews has been not doing that.
He's not 37.
He's 37.
Yeah.
Listen, it would be a great story if he was able to do it. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical he can come back and... I'm almost positive he can't come back and be Jonathan Toews.
No.
At this point, it's all right, can you play in our middle six?
Maybe even that.
Maybe bottom
37-year-olds in the NHL right now have hard time cracking the lineup even when they've been playing their entire careers.
Yes.
If they played from 20 to 37, it's still hard to be a 37-year-old in the NHL because it's a young man's game. So I'm very skeptical about this comeback, and I don't know if it's going to work.
I'll say this, just for NHL 25 roster construction purposes, I'd love to see it happen for Toronto because you could get him in cheap price. Get him. He can be your third line center that you've been looking for. and he plays strong defensive game. Probably isn't going to score very much, which is sort of what they already have. But it's not, like I said, it's not going to cost you much till the end of the season. And that allows you to free up money and go after the winger that you probably need. If you could bring Jonathan Toews in and he could be a serviceable player, what an advantage that would be for Toronto. If he can be, hey, I'm responsible like David Kampf, but I also can score some goals every once in a while. And you put him between like Domi and McMahon.
Can you be Jason Spezza with the Leafs? Your fourth line guy who obviously has ridiculous talent.
But they have fourth line guy. David Kampf is the fourth line guy.
This is the thing, right?
He's got to be third line guy.
So I'm looking. Jonathan Toews, there are 20 players older than him
That's it.
in the NHL. 20. He is sandwiched between, he was born April 29th, 1988. He is,
Man, it makes me feel so old.
I know. He's sandwiched. Yeah.
Are we going to be 37 this year?
Yeah. It's,
Oh my God.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to
Oh, man.
Talk about it.
Oh, that sucks.
He's sandwiched between.
I got up for you, Steve.
He's sandwiched between Patrick Maroon, Jesse's got it on the screen, and Brad Marchand. So he is just younger than Patrick Maroon and just older than Brad Marchand.
Wow.
It's right in here.
Who was the oldest this year?
The oldest player in the NHL. Sorry, this is also only skaters. There might be goalies in this equation as well.
Yes.
Ryan Suter.
I also only did skater. So
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
it'd probably be Fleury.
Marc-Andre Fleury, yeah.
Yeah, Fleury.
Or it'd be on this
Cam
list somewhere.
Talbot?
I think for the purposes of this
Yeah.
discussion, skaters is good.
I agree.
Yeah, Suter is the oldest skater in the league. Then it goes Suter, Burns, Perry, Ovechkin, Malkin, Derek Ryan, Trevor Lewis, Jack Johnson, Ryan Reeves, Edward Vlasic, Letang, Martinez, Crosby, Kopitar, Zuccarello, Foligno, Petrie, Giroux, Johnson, Maroon, and then you'd get Jonathan Toews.
Ovechkin being the fourth oldest player in the NHL.
And playing like this?
Psychotic.
It's crazy. The other couple things I want to bring up just very quickly. NHL Winter Classic, outside of people there, it seems like it was not watched. It was fewer than 1 million people watched it. And part of that is the Blackhawks are bad and the Blues are mid. And
It wasn't a compelling game. Like
No.
I feel like a lot of the ratings numbers you see come from, okay, is the game tight? Is it tied or within a goal in the third period? Did the game go to overtime?
I know
The game was over quick.
I know the NHL's got to keep the Wirtz family happy, but can you tell them to just chill until they can put a team on the ice? Like honestly, you don't need you need to have, when you're picking these games, you need to have teams that are good, that are projected to be not good, great. It needs to be like Vegas, Colorado, and you do it in Colorado. Like, that would be insane. What a great game.
You know what would have improved the ratings? If Gary Bettman had said hi to Jeremy Roenick.
I'm not getting into that.
It was
That
ridiculous.
was a sad clip.
It was ridiculous that the NHL rebooked Wrigley Field. This is the second time they've had an outdoor game there. That doesn't make sense. Go to different venues, give fans different experiences. Last time was 2009, which wasn't. It was a long time ago, but like we don't need to run this back.
The Rockies are right there. They've got the outdoor stadium and everything.
I don't understand why Chicago was in it. Chicago's also 0-5 in outdoor games, so they've never been a good experience in outdoor games at all.
Have they seriously never won?
They've never won an outdoor game, and they've appeared in the most outdoor games. So
That feels impossible.
not great. And it's the lowest rated one for a reason. You had the worst team in the NHL showcased on the day they never play the game. They never play the game on New Year's Eve. It was in the middle of a bunch of other NHL games. I think it was a very good point that
It's New Year's Eve.
when you're putting the Winter Classic on, it needs to be the only game on, because hockey fans are going to watch their team's games if their team is on. If the Leafs are playing the same time as the Winter Classic, you're not going to get the casual Leaf fan to tune into this game because the Leafs are on. So you need to put this on a pedestal and showcase it as the only game. And the way this was entirely run was very poor this season.
Yep.
What is your focus on New Year's Eve, like during the day?
New Year's Eve or the Leaf game.
I know what mine used to be. Like, we were off. My plan used to be get off work as soon as possible, so I could drink with my friends.
Yeah, mine is put
Like,
the kids to bed as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I went to bed at 1:45 midnight just to prove a point to myself.
Whoa.
I don't know what the point was. Stupid.
Yeah.
I should've
I was
stayed
watching Dune 2 at midnight, so it passed and we didn't even realize. It was so good. It's such a good movie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Dune series, the
Get the
Duneverse.
popcorn bucket.
No, I didn't have the popcorn bucket. I never
The
did.
popcorn bucket.
Maddie, if you want to pull this up right there, winning and losing teams in outdoor games, and well, specifically in the Winter Classic games.
they're bad.
Chicago, they've played in 09, 15, 17, 19, and 25. They are 0-5 in the Winter Classic.
That's
So there you go.
silly. Because the Leafs have played 4 outdoor games, and
I'm talking about Winter Classics.
I know. I
They
hate
played
that.
in more. There's the other outdoor games they like to hold. The Stadium Series that they run through.
That's so confusing. It's like the cap.
I'm talking about Winter Classics. The Blackhawks have played in 5 more than anybody. They've never won a Winter Classic.
I like a New Year's Day game. I like a New Year's.
If I'm not mistaken, the Leafs have played 4 outdoor games, and they were all called something different. Centennial Classic,
Heritage Classic.
Heritage Classic, which was the Sabres one.
Winter Classic.
Winter Classic was the Detroit one.
Stadium Series.
Stadium Series was the Washington one.
Yeah.
They've played in all 4 kinds of outdoor games.
That's hilarious. The best one was,
And they're 2-2.
the Centennial. That was the one where they won it.
Which one's
overtime.
that?
Yeah.
That was, you guys were there. Remember it was against Detroit? And it
Is
was
that BMO?
Yeah.
I wasn't at the actual game. I was at the alumni game.
Right.
On New Year's.
Right. When Gary Roberts and Chris Draper fought each other.
Yeah. That was the coldest I've ever been in my entire life.
Holy
Oh,
fuck.
my
We
God.
sat in the top of the stadium and the lake is right there. It was brutal.
You know
It was
what?
New Year's Eve, it was a lot of fun.
The
Dude, they're in
coldest,
shorts.
the coldest I've ever been was the game we went to in Hamilton at Tim Hortons Field where I couldn't take a piss.
So which one was that?
That was the one against Buffalo.
And Jesse ripped his pants.
No, what was that one called?
Heritage.
That was a Heritage.
Yeah. And remember, there was an SDP listener who was like, Adam, I could see your cold. He's like 3 rows up. Could see your cold, buddy. And he passed me down those glove warmers. And I was like, thank God.
yeah.
Steve's like, you make fun of me for wearing snow pants. What do you know now?
A lot happened that day.
Yeah.
Steve was running around with Sportsnet at the time doing a bunch of
Yes.
streeters. Adam and I went and saw Willow.
That's right.
On the field before the game, and then we got locked out of the stadium.
Yes, we did.
And we had to ask one of the ticket guys to just let us in because we didn't know we were supposed to stay in the stadium after the performance.
Yeah, we thought we were part of the like they hire the audience, right?
And they don't get
we
to
weren't
watch
a part
the
of that.
game.
No.
So they shuttle the audience out of the building after the game. So we just went with the audience, but we were supposed to stay in because we actually had tickets.
So what they do, so like
so mean.
for like the Super Bowl halftime or the CFL halftime, whatever, they bring the audience in because they like, it's like all of them are like acting school kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they know they're going to emote and that was a live TikTok show, remember?
Yeah, so we got to be a part of that audience.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
We ran into Kaylee Sibley, who's Sportsnet social media, and she was like, "What's going on, guys? We're getting ready." And then she went off, and we're like, "Okay, I guess we'll just stand here." And then we watched the performance. It was good. She was really good. And then we're like, "I guess we just leave."
Yeah. It was because I got invited there through a beer sponsor.
Yes.
And my tickets came with also access to be a part of the audience and everything like that. So then we snuck back in, and then we all ended up watching the game together. I ripped my pants going down from one, when you hop over the seat.
Yes,
From crotch to
Yeah.
knee, too.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it
was-
wasn't a little...
And I was sitting there so cold. And then, a lot happened that day. And then that was when you learned you hated that stadium out of Tim Hortons Field.
That state. Why can't you pee there?
And there's like people
why?
pissing in the stairwells.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't find bathrooms.
I mean, listen, I know it's Hamilton, but that stadium is brand new. You shouldn't be
bad.
doing that yet. Maybe at least 5 years from now.
Yeah.
We ran
That's
into
for old stadium.
We ran into TJ's brother.
Oh, yeah.
Everything happened. And then we had to walk back to our cars for like a mile because you can't park anywhere near the stadium.
I
We
drove
saw a
everybody
guy
home.
Remember we saw a guy in the stands with a Dangle jersey?
Yes. Yeah.
I was just looking, I go, what the fuck?
And it was, strangely enough, a Buffalo Sabres home game.
Yes, it was.
in Hamilton.
And we watched Austin Matthews get suspended.
Yep, it was
Yeah.
great. Lots of memories.
I think that was the most eventful day of our lives.
Last thing.
It might have been.
Frank Vetrano signed an extension, but like Shohei Ohtani, in 2035 he will make $900,000 a year because he's deferred $9 million of the $18 million to that era. And, people are saying, well, he's doing it for tax reasons. He won't live in California at that time. And that it probably is true. But what's interesting about this deal, I think, is that this person is probably planning for a post NHL career and going, I'd like to make $1 million and have that income set when I'm older. Everybody's like, well, he shouldn't be doing this to tax evasion and this and that. I'm like, no, this sounds like, listen, there's a very good argument that 900 grand is going to be worth way less than 900 grand today is, right? If you look at the way money works, yes. But 900 grand in 2035 is still going to be pretty good.
It's coming in.
It's still, and it's income. And you just don't know what life's going to throw at you at that
You
point.
have no idea.
So I thought, it was smart. 10 years of that.
I also saw some people talking about how you're unsure if he would have even got that money if he wasn't willing to defer it. Because they could have like negotiated the contract in a way that they'll give him extra money because the money's less on the cap hit each year, and because he was willing to defer, you can actually pay
Get
him
more.
a little bit more because he's willing to take money off of the salary cap. So in the end, he might end up making more because they would have said like, "Hey, we'll pay you less if you don't want to defer this, and we can negotiate that way."
That's pretty sweet.
yeah.
I like that.
I want to know what contract is going to be the one where the NHL goes, all right, that's enough.
Well, I think if you're, and this guy's 30, right? So this contract that after this deal is done, there's no guarantees at 33, 34 years old when you're a guy who scores 50 or 60 points now. You got to be smart about this. I think the NHLPA hangs on to that tooth and nail.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a pretty smart contract for him to sign,
Yeah.
honestly. He's got 9 goals this season. Things are not going awesome for Frank Vatrano. Last year, he had 37.
Wow.
So, yeah, he was stupid. He was so good last year. You take that money while they're offering it to you. You're at a wicked cap hit, a tradable cap hit, if that is what you really want. I think everyone wins here.
Yeah.
He scored 2 goals the day on, what was it, Friday or Saturday when he signed the contract. So he's up to 11 goals now.
Whoa, hot damn.
11 on the season.
I think
There you go.
I think that there's a lot to like about Frank Vatrano on that deal, and interesting. I think that's good financial planning.
Can I sign up for that?
Hey, listen, I would love if I could sign up for 900 grand a year for 10 years starting in 2035, I'd be okay with that. I'd be good with that.
I'd live.
I'd manage. Yeah.
I'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So should we do a press conference?
We definitely can.
Let's do it.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
All right. Producer Hayden prepared a couple more NHL draft rosters.
Love it.
So these are the rules by these teams that I'm about to read if you're not familiar with this little game we have.
Hit me.
Only players who are drafted by a team will make the team. Undrafted players will join whatever team gave them their first NHL contract. Undrafted players only get added to a roster to replace non-active NHL players. Active pro hockey players only. NHL players take priority. NHL player will not be considered if they have not played any NHL games. If a team doesn't have enough active NHL players, then we'll move to AHL and KHL and Europe in that order. So here we go. The drafted roster for the Edmonton Oilers, which is, I think, pretty darn good.
Right.
Taylor Hall, McDavid, Eberle,
Damn.
Holloway, Draisaitl, Puljujärvi,
Holloway is unreal.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
Carey. Am I saying that? Khaira.
Oh, Kara?
Kara?
Jujar Kara.
Jujar Kara. Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto.
Taylor Yamamoto.
Slepchev, McLeod, Yakupov.
There's a drop off there.
On D, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, Broberg, Petrie, Kesselring, Skinner, and Wells in net.
And a shame that Clefbaum can't be included.
Kesselring. I forgot about that. Who are the goalies?
Skinner
Yeah.
and Wells.
Okay. Dylan Wells.
I think
I don't know why I know that.
the Oilers,
I'd take that roster.
I would take that roster, especially with how good Broberg was to start the year and how good Holloway has been.
Yeah.
I think that they could have had most of that roster if they had just signed the guys, man.
Nah.
Ken Holland's parting gift.
Nah.
All right. The Sabres one is a lot of fun.
Oh,
no.
man.
Hagel, Eichel, Peterka.
They drafted Brandon Hagel?
I didn't know that.
Foligno, Reinhardt, Armia. Comfer, Cousins, Olafson.
They drafted JT Comfer?
Benson, Middlestat, Nylander.
A. Neal.
Alex Nylander.
Yes. On D, Darlene Power, McNabb, McCabe,
Wow.
Zadorov, Myers. If Buffalo simply held on to who they drafted, Darlene Power, McNabb, McCabe, Zadorov, Myers.
Dude, you suck. You suck so much.
In net, Allmark, Luukkonen.
Damn.
Wow. So their former starter and their current starter.
Stop selling.
That's a playoff team.
Stop selling.
That's a damn good team.
If you don't make the playoffs this year, don't make a damn move. That's enough.
Well, no, don't tell the Preds that, please.
No.
Hoping they'll sell some players.
No. Just the Sabres.
Oh, just the Sabres. Yeah.
They're banned. Everyone else needs to make moves, but just the Sabres, you're banned.
the Blackhawks all drafted team. Panarin, Bedard, DeBrincat.
Damn.
Kane, Hayes, Hartman. Saad, Deneau, Schmaltz.
They drafted to know.
They did draft Philip Deneau. Yep.
Teravainen, Doc, Kurashev.
That's a good team.
That is a crazy good team.
Yoki Haru, Boyquist. Hall, Vlasic. Is that Justin Hall?
Justin Hall, he was a second round
Hall
pick.
is the Blackhawks.
Second round pick.
That's
Oh my God.
That's not Mark Edward Vlasic, is it?
Yes.
What?
Assume. It says Vlasic.
Oh, okay, that would.
Oh, no. That's Alex Vlasic.
Alex Vlasic?
Who's also good.
Almost gave me a heart attack. No, he's on their team now. He's huge.
Gilbert and TVR. Van Riemsdyk.
Trevor
it says
Van
here.
Riemsdyk.
Tompkins is in net. We're reaching deep for the goaltenders.
Yeah.
They haven't drafted good goaltenders.
I guess the last one would have been Corey Crawford. Yeah.
Steve, I got all the teams here. Is there a team you want me to do last here? And I can run through some more next episode or on Friday. Is there a team in the league you want to see? They're all drafted team.
Dallas.
Okay, let me just find Dallas here. Dallas is...
No,
Oh.
can I change my answer?
Okay, what?
Anaheim.
Anaheim? Okay, let me scroll. Give me 1 second. We got the Canadian teams here. Wild Ducks. Okay. Ducks. Zegras, Carlson, Palmieri,
Kyle Palmieri, yep.
McTavish, Terry, Raquel,
Ricard Raquel.
Richie, Lundstrom, Carlson, Comtois, Wagner, Andre Kasha.
Okay, up front is not the coming attraction.
Yeah,
Or the
not
main
great.
attraction.
Their defense is going to be insane, though.
I think they've struggled drafting top end forwards. They're a deep forward group there. But on D, we got Theodore Montour,
That's crazy.
Fowler Lindholm,
Really, really good.
Manson Pettersson.
Man, Marcus Pettersson.
Shit.
Jeez.
Not bad.
That's solid.
That's a great decor.
I take the Buffalo one over that.
No. No way. No way.
Gibson, Anderson, and net.
Oh, Freddie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot shit, that decor. Can you say that again?
Theodore Montour, Fowler Lindholm, Manson Pettersson. It's probably the best drafted decor in the league.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
And also, he didn't include Lucas Dostal. Because he was drafted by
Why
Anaheim.
didn't he include...
Who's the best of those three?
I guess he went Gibson, Anderson instead.
Yeah.
Okay, you could have three.
Yeah.
Now we can add
Holy
a third.
I think at that point, Anderson because of injuries, but Gibson because of just where he's at. One of those two is the third stringer. Dostal's the starter.
Hot damn.
That's crazy.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
there's a with these teams like there's a lot of cases. Just hang on to guys. Eventually, they turn into something.
I think the Toronto rebuild messed a lot of teams up because I think teams forgot that Toronto was bad for like 15 years with one small blip, and
The Sabres keep selling.
and the Leafs had when they got Matthews, they already had Nylander 2 years developed and Marner 1 year developed coming to the team, and then put Matthews in there too.
Riley, 4 years.
4 years developed. They had a young Jake Gardner. They had, Nazem Kadri was, 4 or 5 years pro at that point. Bozak, Van Riemsdyk, those guys, they stopped selling and they said, okay, we got to play with this team now.
I mean, they just kept hitting. Like they hit on a lot of picks.
On the Matthews draft, they only hit
trades.
on Matthews.
Yes, that was
It was actually surprisingly. Thank God for Austin Matthews because that draft was terrible.
No, but
and Mark Hunter, I think that cost him in retrospect. I think that cost him any general manager job, not the Leaf one, because Dubas was always going to take over Lamoriello. I think if you look at Hunter's draft record there, it's terrible.
it's not just Matthews. Joseph Woll.
Was in that draft?
He was.
Okay, fine, great.
He was. Yeah, I know. They had like 12 picks.
That's nuts. Eh? Nobody knew who Joseph Woll was unless you were like a hardcore prospect person.
Wow.
For like 5 years. Oh, okay. Okay, Nick Robertson's a defenseman.
Oh shit, that's a good one. That's a good one. No, but like to add to their core of vets, like in basically a year, they added Hyman, Brown, Nylander, Marner, Matthews.
And don't forget about some of the peripherals, the Janssens, Kapanens, Soshnikov. Like,
Yeah,
there were
who
guys that
came
played.
later. Yeah. They
So-
did really well.
Do you guys want to do an NHL headline to close this?
Yeah,
close
let's
out here?
do it.
Hell-
Start 2025 on a hot note.
Yes.
All right. So the little blurb under the headline reads, Ovechkin scores number 872 midway through third period. Capitals defeat Rangers.
One more time.
Ovechkin scores number 872 midway through third period. Capitals defeat Rangers.
Where was this game played?
That won't matter.
Got it.
Focus on Ovechkin. Focus on Ovechkin scoring 872 midway through the third period.
Oh, I was going to say the great two. It's a great one. It's 872.
Great 8 scores late.
You're actually
wow.
It's not correct, but you are you're in the right universe.
2/3, 2 period.
No,
Okay.
no, it's not that.
OV, but the V is a 2
No,
or
go
a
back.
3. No,
Go back to what you were thinking before.
Okay, so I said the great
Great
8
8
scores
scores
late.
late.
Yeah. You're on the line. You're on the right lines of using his number for sure.
8 scores late?
Once again,
Warmer or colder?
I'd say warmer. I'd say warmer. You've entered. You're now on the right planet. Now we must find where it is on the planet. You need.
Where's
to
the
find
landing
aliens.
pad?
Yeah, where's the
Late
landing pad?
8.
No, but you're getting closer.
I'm warmer?
I'd say yeah. You're keeping it simple, which is great.
Late 8. Late 8.
Drop maybe the late and use 8 more as a pun. Maybe 8 sounds like late.
Is this like a Gen Z thing? It was like
No,
OV8,
8 night?
like ATE.
You're getting even closer
8
now
night.
that you're using that 8 as a late. So if you wanted to use that 8 as a late, what's a common phrase people use?
The 8 show?
Better 8 than never.
Ladies and gentlemen.
No.
It is. We have got it. Better 8.
Well done, Steve.
Friggin' go!
Wow. Better 8.
Better 8 than never.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to a very sad looking Sam Carrick in that photo. That is awesome.
Man, the
Better 8 than never. I'm fired up. I'm going to ride that the rest of the day.
I honestly didn't
Shout
think
out Dawn on Discord who sent that one in.
I didn't think we were going to be. I didn't think we would come back to the Rangers being worse. We didn't talk about it. But I thought they'd pick it up over the Christmas break. Boy, was I stupid. Wow.
Well, I know.
They're bad. Like, wow.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, remember earlier when I was like, the Canucks, they can do it. No, you can't. No, not you.
I thought they could.
I did too.
All right.
I
Well,
did too. Like, yeah.
I noticed how the Penguins being in a playoff spot didn't make the show. Because Adam doesn't want to talk about the
I
Penguins.
did.
Are they in a
say
playoff
it.
spot?
I actually said
They
it.
don't want to be decent.
I said it. I said that's why it's important that the Leafs win the division so they play a team like that.
There's so many
I said
teams-
that.
In tight. Oh, Dubas could win.
Oh, no.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.